What's up, guys? This is Tom, back for part 2 of this Galaga tutorial in VB.net. I've done a lot. I've been working on it just so I could have it all tested and ready to go for when I made the video. So a lot of the code is already added in, as you can probably tell with even just form load. It's a lot longer now. You can see bullets right there. So what I've added in for this video is one, fixed the lag with the background, and also made it switch easier, made it scroll easier, and you'll see, I'll explain that when I walk through the code. I added bullets. I added an enemy that does not fight back, just sits there. He comes out every around 250 milliseconds ish. I don't know what the exact, it's not milliseconds, I don't know what he is. Once he's been killed, he comes back just so you can target practice, except for he doesn't really move, so it's not really target practice. And I'll show you the form before I get into the code. So this is the first background, this is the second background. When I walk through the code, I'll show why I have two. This is the enemy and here are the bullets. I just made them white blocks. You can make them whatever you want, put a picture in them, make them any color, blah blah blah. With the timers, I added timer shoot, B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, B6. Those are all the bullets, so 6 bullets. Timer for each, so they're individualized. And timer E for the enemy's movement. And I would eventually put in something like him shooting inside of his timer. And that's all I've added on the form. For the enemy, it's simple stuff, picture, stretch image. For the space, for the background I guess, I made the size mode normal. That will help the lag. They're both normal. Yeah. PB space 1. This is PB space and this is PB space 1. The bullets are just PB bullet 5 and stuff like that. Normal, just made it white. That's all there's in those. Timer shoot has a 300 interval that spaces out the bullets by like 300 intervals, whatever the unit is. That's activated with space, and these ones are activated with whichever one's available, whichever bullet is available. Oh, timer B1 was set to true for testing. And yeah. Okay. Now let's see. Alright, I'm going to walk down the code and I'll skip stuff that is the same already. Well, I'll skim over it. I have a tick. That's just an integer that gets added onto, and I want to save what it's at. I could set it to 0 each time by making it a dim, just instantiating it within a sub, but I just left it as public. A, D for movement, space enable shoot, the same thing for key ups, it disables shoot. Form load, so when it loads, it sets the two background images, PB space and PB space 1. PB space 1 gets the exact same dimensions as PB space. These are exact same things right here. I mean, location with height, that's what I meant. I made the height that's default, just so I didn't stretch it. Let's see, I think this was already in there. Makes the main person. Bring to front makes it so my ship is always in the front, because the background image, I don't set it as a background image because I want it to scroll on the form, so you have to bring to front to get the picture on top of it. And we're going to do that for all the bullets too. And for the enemy, the location is the same thing. These bullets, this default location, that's how I know if they're ready to shoot or not, if they're in this location. So that's my default spot. I could just make a point called default as a public and assign it to that default, but I'm just gonna keep it like this. You guys can do that if you want to. You would just do I'll show you. public default B point maybe or something like that. Can't use default B as point equals and I think you just put the coordinates in. I've never done it. It's pretty simple. And then it sets the enemy's location to all the way to the left hand side and up just above the screen so we don't see him right away. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Alright, timer forward is the one that moves the backgrounds. We're gonna skip this stuff. This is the enemy. That's what tick is used for. Okay, so as PB space is the first background that appears, it's set to lower. So the location for PB space is the same as before. It's the height plus the screen, the form height. The bottom of it starts right at the bottom and scrolls down. And the location of P space 1 is so the bottom of it is right at the top of the screen. Ends right at the top of the screen, plus a negative, so it's just minusing pretty much, but I want to put these in parentheses. The same thing as this. So what it's actually doing is getting stacked on top of PB space. PB space 1 is being stacked on top of PB space. Yeah. That's pretty much all that does. Let's see, PB space location. I'm reviewing it as I read it. So what that is the location. Okay, that's why. It's an if statement. So if the top is greater than or equal to the height, so that means once the top of the picture gets to the bottom of the screen or lower, since it's not moving at, it's moving at like 2 or 3 or something, it's 2. So if it's an odd number going down, that's why you say greater than, not just equal to. Because 0, 0 is at the top left, as I said before. So once it hits the bottom of the screen or lower, you're just gonna set the PB space on top of PB space 1. So what you do is, so at the beginning it's PB space on the bottom, PB space 1 on top, and once the PB space hits the bottom of the screen, it gets stacked on top of PB space 1, and they just keep swapping positions, just like this. Else if PB space 1 is greater than or equal to, just like the before, then it gets stacked back on top of PB space. So they just keep swapping positions. You don't really notice it's the same thing over and over. It just stars. And this is their movement. They move at the same speed. It wouldn't make any sense that one moved faster than the other. Let's change, save them. Alright. Oh, and then these. So the tick increments once it hits 250 and the enemy is not already going, then it enables the enemy, it makes him visible, it brings him to the front above the background, and it sets the tick back to 0. So this thing will keep ticking, but this is why I said timer enabled equals false, so it won't just keep making the enemy come out, and come out. And then once if it hits above 250 and the enemy is already out, then it's just going to keep resetting. And I'll run this actually, so you guys get to see it. So this is the movement. It's not as laggy as before. The background's not as laggy. And we'll shoot. I do have detection on it, so he will get killed. There's the bullet spacing. That interval on timer shoot, if you decrease it, the bullets shoot faster. If you increase it, they have more space in between it. They shoot slower. So we'll do this, and you'll see him come back out. There he is. See him come back out. There he is. Oh, I just saw some lag there. It's when I move to go hit the X on the screen. If I even like move off the background onto the task, it lags. So, not too bad if you don't keep your mouse going like that. So what this does is bring the enemy out and keep bringing him out as long as, if he's dead, then it brings him back out after a little while. Alright. So the max time you'll be waiting is about 250. whatever the interval is. And I put this, you might be wondering why I put the enemy underneath timer forward, is because this timer is constantly going, scrolling in the background. Other timers turn off and on depending on what I what I hit on the keyboard. So this is a reliable one for bringing the enemy back out for testing. And I would probably put them in there. I wouldn't put too much stuff in the timer forward. It might get so much stuff in there. It takes a while for it to move the background. But that would require a lot of code for it to run through. Left and right are the same exact thing. We changed them to 10. Since it's not as laggy, it moves faster than what it looked like before. Right, timer shoot is a big if-else-if chain. If the first bullet equals the height of the form, which is the default location right there. That's why I said this is the default location. Then it makes the bullet true, it brings it to front, and the location is in the middle on top of your ship. And then it enables the bullet timer. And then this thing, so if this one's not available, I'll go to this one, then I'll go to this one, and so on. You only have 6 bullets total, since you might think there's a 5, but this is 0, pretty much. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so that's pretty much all they do. So timer shoot spawns them, and turns on the the timer for the bullet to move. Here's the bullets moving. They're all the same thing. Let's see. So if it's not greater than or equal to while it's greater than or equal to 0. So what that pretty much means is while it's not at the very top of the screen, it moves the bullet down, up, because 0, 0 is at the top left, so it moves it up 10. This is the collision, this if. So if the bullet, sometimes I have trouble explaining this, why I do it this way. So there's the enemy, who cares. So here's a bullet. So I say, if the top of the bullet, this part right here, so if the top of the bullet is less than or equal to the bottom, which means is it here or this way, and it does not stop, so it's like, is it even here? Just in case it travels through and it didn't detect, then it'll still go like, oh, it actually hit it. That's if your computer's running really slow and not checking all these if statements at the same it's not at the same time. If it's not checking everything constantly, maybe it gets slowed down. If this program gets really, really big, it might slow down enough that the bullet will get to maybe like here or even here before it recognizes, oh yeah, it's in between these two lines and it's above the bottom. What you could do to stop, I just thought of something while I was explaining that. What if you shoot a bullet here? Shoot a bullet right there. I'm trying to think. And it goes past the enemy to right here, and while it's right there, the enemy moves over. It's inside that if statement. The enemy moves over, so now it's right here. It's going to be it's going to count as a hit because it is between these two lines and back here. So what you can add in is greater than the top, which I don't really care for right now. For this demo. That'd be easy. It's just another conditional. Wherever you want to look. These are just for the different bullets. They're all the same thing. I'm trying to think. Alright, so then the next one, next conditional is the left of the bullet, this part, is less than or equal to the right. Is it here or this way? And then the other one is it here or this way? So what that does, you might be thinking, why don't you just match left with left and right with right? If I match left with left and right with right, and let's say it's going up here and it hits right there. So let me draw them closer, so we don't have to pretend it's actually hitting. It hits right here. This is the bullet. So it's different shape now. If I say, so for this one, the conditional statement would be left is greater than the left on this one, because it'd be this way. And this would be right is less than this way. So the left is greater than this left is false, and the right is greater than this right is true. But since it's ands, this would evaluate to false, and the bullet would keep going. With my way, with the swapping the sides, checking the opposites, if I have a bullet going like this, the left is this way of the right, and the right is this way of the left, if you can see that. So this, you make them crisscrossed because of those conditions. Otherwise you can do it the other way, if you hit where the whole bullet isn't inside of the hitbox. Now, if the bullet is inside of the hitbox, the left with left and right with right will work, because left is greater than, right is less than. But the crisscross also works. Left is still less than this way, it's still to the left of the right, and the right is still to the right of the left. Crisscross works either way, so crisscross is better. So that's why the if statements are like that. Anyway, so when it does hit, the bullet turns invisible. The location gets set back to its default. The timer of the enemy gets disabled. The enemy is invisible. The enemy location goes back to its default. And it disables the timer that we're in right now. So it doesn't move the bullet anymore. The bullet's done. So it's pretty much getting recycled. Oh, yeah, we can get rid of that for a minute now. And if it does hit the edge of the screen, if it's greater than or equal to 0, it will set to default and disable the timer. And it does that for every single one. 6 bullets. These ones go B1, B2, so that's why there's 6 and not 5. Alright. And now the last timer that was added. So pause this video at any moment if I'm going too fast. Obviously it's going to take you more time to write this than it is for me to talk about it, especially since I just skipped all these because they're all the same. So yeah, go ahead and pause it. I don't really care. Why would I care? And the last one is the actual enemy that timer shoot will enable. He goes to 3 times his height downwards, and so it takes his height, multiplies it by 3, and if his top equals that is less, while his top is less than that number, he will, so the location, the left hand side always is the same, it's not changing, these values aren't changing, but top is changing. It moves him down 7 units each time this ticks. Right there, tick. That's why I said ticks. So yeah, pretty easy. I would add in below here, like, we'll do some coding. I'm trying to think of how I would do this. I'm not going to do any coding on this one. I'll probably talk about a concept, like an idea, so I'll write down an idea right here. Comment is apostrophe if you didn't know that. We'll say bullet shoot bullet or make the enemy fly around. So I could do either one of those things here or anything else. And when you actually, I have other ideas. I was thinking about adding a total score. Well, you all, 1 second. Pretty sure I spelled collision wrong. I don't know if it's two. I think it's two L's and one S. So if you're shooting a bullet, check for collision on your main ship here, because this thing will keep ticking. You could also add another timer that what is it? You could add a timer just for the bullet. That might be a little easier, and put this inside of timer shoot, just so you don't have to call it. It's a little bit different. Or just put it down here. Depending on if you run into any problems, you'd probably have to switch stuff around. You could add score to the total score. You could do that stuff with killing different ships, add a different amount. You just like put like tote score equals tote score plus 600 or plus 6, depending on what you score. What you just want your score to be based off of. I'm trying to think what else there is. I was gonna add something else, but now I don't remember. I think that's pretty much it. I already went through all of this, but I'll scroll slowly if you want to check over it. Yeah, you could put the enemy movement right here when it equals 250. Then you could say greater than or equal to 250. Move it because it's not going to take that long. And then once it's moved, hit 0. And if it's greater, I don't know. I think you should keep it where it is. And maybe make a separate timer for the bullet. And then all the movement would be inside of timer E. Just to keep everything in one place. It's the same. Oh, another idea I wanted to put in later. Since it's so easy to make the bullet shoot faster with less interval between them, just by changing interval on timer shoot, change interval on killing streak slash power up pickup slash etc. So whatever else. So an idea I had was to add maybe power-ups after killing stuff to drop and move down the screen, or if you have enough kills in a row, it will upgrade your firing speed. Yeah, I would probably get groups of enemies to work first, which would be a huge timer, because they're going to coordinate as a group. So certain ones can't shoot while other ones are in front of them, and so forth, and yeah, something like that. Yeah. So if you're interested, you could add that into your code. Send me. You could comment and say what you added. I'd like to hear about what you guys are doing. I'd like you guys to change this. What my teacher did when I was learning VB6 was he gave us a Pong game, which I don't think I did a video on, and he gave us the whole Pong game background. It was a skeleton. You could call it a skeleton. It just worked, so it's not really a skeleton. It's the base game, and he said add stuff to it. So I added so much stuff to it that it was kind of disgusting. It had a big box in the middle where the ball was trapped inside. Each time it hit its side, it would increase in speed, and then it could only exit out of the corners. So once it hit a corner, which it would after like 5 or 6 hits or something like that, it would exit the box going really, really fast. And once it exited, the box would stay there actually. Once it exited, it'd bounce around. You had your paddles on the side, just like in Pong. You had helper paddles that were AI, and by AI I mean it just went up and down really fast. Yeah, I mean there was more to it. It's really hard to play. So yeah, so kind of like that. Add to the base game that I'm pretty much making for you. I certainly will as I go on. I might make videos about me doing add-ons to it. I would definitely make a splash screen, which I might make next time, for difficulty, maybe. Difficulty, I'm not going to do that next time, because there's no point in difficulty right now. There's no enemies, really, including this one. Alright, and I think that's all I'm going to say about that. I did this all tonight. If you see anything wrong with it, go ahead and tell me in the comments. I'd like to hear anything else about your game in the comments. Here, if I stand right here, whenever he comes out, he'll die. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I will keep going at this until I probably have one group of enemies done entirely, and I'll probably take multiple. What is it? It'll probably take multiple videos to get the whole enemy group done, unless I just do one long one where I just explain everything. And a little thing, you might want to overlap the backgrounds a little bit. There is something you might notice. I'll keep shooting so you might notice it again. I'll point it out when I see it. And right there, this. You can see it. I don't know if you can see it on your video. That's the seam of where the two backgrounds collide. And I'll actually show you, and you can pause it on it. I'm trying to look for it again. Mine's distinctive based on some images off to the left. That's where I'm looking right now. This part, I'm pretty sure. So the seam is right there. It's kind of lighter and then it becomes dark. There was a watermark on the left-hand side of the image. So what I did is just copy some stars from over here, put it on top, and stretch them. So the stars are a little deformed. I'll point it out when I see it again. People don't really look at the background. It's right there. There's the seam, and this is the stretched out. That's the one I'm looking for. But here's the seam right there. It's about to go down. Yeah, there it is. So those are the two pictures meeting up. You might want to overlap them. I don't know if it would help, but there's a suggestion. Anyway, thanks for watching. I got a different picture. It's pretty much what I did to fix the lag. It's, I think, 3,000 something by like 2,500, about that. So it's still decent. But yeah. Again, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.